Hey, what's up? So, financial freedom is something I'm interested in. It's something I'd like to achieve in my life at some stage, hopefully earlier than later. And so sometimes I'll listen to wealthy people talk about how they made their money and little stories and things here and there. And one of the things that I've heard before is that the first $100,000 is the hardest. And I completely agree. There's a few reasons why. One is obviously there's interest involved and compounding interest. So if you've got $0, you're going to get any interest on that is $0. But if you're starting from 100,000 and you get interest, then you're going to get a certain amount based on that base 100,000. So in that sense, 0 to 100,000 is going to be more difficult than 100,000 to 200,000 if you've deployed your money in the right places and you're getting a good interest rate or any interest rate. The second reason it's the hardest is because probably the way that you make your first 100,000 is going to be based on time. So you're probably going to be working a job and you're going to be paid hourly or it's going to be a salary. And so you're trading your time for money. And that's generally how most people start out working. Even wealthy people, that's generally how they start. As opposed to maybe later on in your career where you're a little bit older, a little bit wiser, have a few more strategies under your belt, and you can figure out ways to maybe trade results for money or outcomes for money. And that's kind of taking a little bit away from time. The third reason is probably related to just knowledge. Like you're early on in your career, you're probably not getting paid as much as you are maybe later on in your career. So when you're a fresh graduate, your salary is probably going to be less than when you're a intermediate or senior level skilled person in whatever role you're interested in. So in that sense, the first 100,000 is also going to be more difficult. I achieved my first 100,000 probably in my mid to late 20s. And I can't remember exactly how old I was. At the time, I'm sure it felt like a big deal. But in retrospect, many years have gone past since then. And, new milestones have been achieved. And so it's less important. And really, it doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I mean, 100,000 is a huge amount. And that's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that doesn't mean anything to me. That means a lot to me. What I'm saying is that once you get there, once you kind of get that milestone and you kind of break that barrier, then your mind kind of opens up and you realize, oh, it's possible for me to actually save this much. It kind of makes it a little bit more fun to start saving as well, because once you start to see that amount actually make interest, so let's say 100,000 invested at, let's say, 7%, at the end of the year, that's $7,000 extra that you got passively. Now, there might be tax and things involved, so it might not be as high, but conceptually, it's very cool to see. And once you start getting that snowball rolling, it's fun to be saving and it's fun to be investing, and you start being more interested in buying assets versus toys. And it's a cool concept to grasp. If anyone hasn't reached their first $100,000 in net worth yet, I encourage people to, save smartly, spend their money smartly, and, try to achieve it. I think it's a good one to get to if you haven't got there yet. Sometimes it takes time, don't rush it. Like, it's probably difficult for a graduate to, well, actually, I don't know, because some companies pay wildly, but for a fresh graduate, it might be difficult to save up 100K within a year. That's, to not be able to do that, I think is very reasonable. But, if you can save here and there and just get to that first 100,000, you learn a lot of things. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.